All right, let's talk about a really weird problem that happens when your startup starts doing well. It's this paradox where the more you succeed, the more chaotic everything feels. You're growing, but it feels like everything's on the verge of breaking.
So, does this sound familiar? You finally found product market fit, right? The customers are rolling in, things are looking up. But behind the curtain, you are absolutely drowning in manual work. You have no idea who your best customers are, and your team, well, they feel totally disconnected. If you're nodding along right now, this explainer is for you.
Okay, so let's get into it. This moment, when you go from being a tiny, scrappy startup to a real, scaling business, it brings a whole new set of headaches. All the things that got you here, the hustle, doing everything by hand, that small team that could read each other's minds, those things actually start to become your biggest roadblocks.
And look, if you're feeling these pains, you are not alone. These 4 issues, they pop up for founders time and time again. But here's the good news. You don't need a huge budget or a team of consultants to fix them. Each one has a pretty simple fix, and we're going to walk through them right now.
First up, operations. This is usually where you see the first cracks start to form. When you only had a few orders, tracking them by hand was no big deal. But now, as the volume shoots up, those same manual tasks have become an absolute nightmare.
This quote just says it all, doesn't it? So many founders are stuck in spreadsheet hell, managing everything from procurement to inventory by hand. You know it's a terrible system. You know it's costing you time and money, but you're just too busy putting out fires to actually build a fire station.
So here's the fix, and it costs basically nothing. Forget about buying some fancy, expensive software. Your first step into what people call digital transformation, or DX, is to just pick one annoying manual task. That's it, one. Maybe it's that messy order file. Move it to a shared Google Sheet. Then, set up one simple automation, like having your inventory count go down automatically when a new order comes in. Boom, you've started.
Okay, let's move on, because this stuff builds on itself. Your customer list is getting bigger, which is great, but that simple spreadsheet with a bunch of names and emails, it's not going to cut it anymore. What you have is a list, not a real customer strategy.
This is such a classic problem. Having 10,000 customers is amazing. But if they're all just rows in a spreadsheet, you're flying blind. You have no idea who your best customers are, who keeps coming back, who's telling all their friends about you. I mean, that's the real gold, and it's just sitting there, buried in your data.
So the goal is to turn that spreadsheet into an actual strategy. It's pretty simple. Instead of just having a list of names, you start tracking 2 key things: how often they buy and whether they're bringing you new customers. Do that, and all of a sudden, your VIPs, the people who are really driving your growth, they just pop right out. And that tells you exactly where to focus your energy.
And that leads us right into problem number 3. You've got all this data piling up, from your operations, from your customers, but it's not actually telling you anything useful. You're still making huge decisions based on a gut feeling, mainly because you don't have a data analyst and you sure don't have the budget for one. I mean, just look at the difference on this slide. This is what we're talking about. The before is chaos. You're guessing, your data's a mess, and you're missing huge trends. The after is clarity. You're making decisions based on facts, you have clean dashboards, and the important trends are impossible to miss. It's a difference between guessing and knowing.
And here's the real game changer. You don't need to hire someone or spend a ton of money to get there. There are free tools, like Google Looker Studio, that can plug right into your Google Sheets and turn all that data into simple visual charts. Seriously, you can build yourself a dashboard in an afternoon that shows you everything you need to know at a glance. Okay, last one. Let's talk about your team. When it was just a few of you, everyone knew what was going on. But now that you're growing, communication starts to break down. People get so focused on their own work that they lose sight of the bigger picture.
Now, I can hear some of you thinking this right now. You've tried to fix this before, right? You introduced Slack or Notion or some other tool, and it was a total flop. Nobody used it, and it just became another thing to ignore. That resistance from the team is a huge, real problem.
But listen up, because this is the secret. The problem usually isn't the tool. It's that you're asking for too big of a change all at once. The real solution is to focus on creating one tiny new habit. Don't try to get everyone to change everything they do. Just solve one specific, nagging problem. Let me give you a perfect example. Let's say your head of sales hates writing weekly reports. It's a pain. So instead of asking for a big write-up, you create a simple template, where all they have to do is plug in 3 key numbers. That's it. The tool then automatically makes the pretty report for you. They save a ton of time, and you get the data you need. It's a win-win, a tiny change that solves a massive headache.
So, we've walked through fixing operations,
customers, data, and your team. We've covered a lot, but the solution to every single one of these problems comes back to the exact same idea. You have to start small.
The whole journey of fixing this chaos, of getting your startup back on track, it all starts with this number: 1. One process you can fix, one spreadsheet you can clean up, one tiny habit you can start. That is it. That's all it takes to get the ball rolling.
And that brings me to my last question for you. Think about your business right now. What is the single most annoying, repetitive, time-wasting, manual thing that you or your team has to do every single day? What is that one thing you can start to digitize, not next month, not next week, but tomorrow? The answer to that question, well, that's your first step to scaling your success without scaling the chaos.